Few books have influenced how millions of people think about success, leadership, and human interaction as quietly and persistently as How to Win Friends and Influence People. And yet, its central claim is almost uncomfortable in its simplicity. Most people fail not because they lack intelligence or effort, but because they fundamentally misunderstand human nature. Written by Dale Carnegie and first published in 1936, the book emerged during the Great Depression, a period defined by economic collapse, insecurity, and intense social pressure. Carnegie was not an academic theorist. He was a public speaking teacher and observer of human behavior who noticed a recurring pattern. Technical competence alone rarely determined who advanced in life. The deciding factor was almost always relational skill. Carnegie's insight begins with a difficult truth. People do not want to be corrected, instructed, or reminded of their flaws. Even when they are objectively wrong, criticism rarely produces improvement. Instead, it triggers defensiveness, rationalization, and resentment. This is not a moral failure, Carnegie argues, but a psychological law. Human beings are driven by the need to feel important, competent, and respected. From this foundation, the book builds a philosophy of influence rooted not in manipulation, but in alignment with how people already function emotionally. Carnegie insists that influence begins with genuine interest in others. Most people, he observes, enter conversations focused on what they want to say next, rather than what the other person is trying to express. This inward focus subtly communicates indifference. True influence reverses that dynamic by making the other person feel seen and understood. One of the book's most radical ideas is that persuasion is rarely about logic. Facts matter, but they are filtered through pride, identity, and emotion. If a person feels attacked, they will reject even the strongest argument. If they feel respected, they may reconsider deeply held beliefs without realizing they are doing so. Influence, then, is not about winning arguments, but about creating psychological safety. Carnegie repeatedly returns to the power of appreciation. He draws a sharp distinction between flattery and sincere recognition. Flattery is manipulative and self-serving. Appreciation acknowledges effort, intention, and value. When people feel appreciated, they often rise to meet the expectations implied by that recognition. This mechanism explains why encouragement frequently outperforms pressure as a motivator. Another core theme of the book is humility in leadership. Carnegie argues that openly admitting mistakes disarms criticism and builds trust. Leaders who insist on appearing infallible isolate themselves, while those who acknowledge their limitations invite cooperation. This idea runs counter to many modern conceptions of authority, yet it consistently proves effective in practice. What makes How to Win Friends and Influence People endure nearly a century after its publication is not its tactics, but its psychological accuracy. The book does not assume idealized rational actors. It deals with people as they actually are: emotional, defensive, status-sensitive, and deeply motivated by recognition. In a digital age defined by outrage, argument, and public shaming, Carnegie's insights feel almost subversive. They suggest that influence does not come from dominance or exposure, but from restraint, empathy, and respect. The book quietly asks a question many people avoid: are you more interested in being right or in being effective? If this perspective sharpened your understanding of influence and human behavior, support the channel by liking the video and subscribing. And if you want to explore more books that shape how we think, communicate, and lead, continue with the next video in this series.